Hey mamas, you're listening to the Balanced Working Mama podcast, the only podcast teaching you how to balance your work, motherhood, and wellness. I am Dr. Amber Thornton, clinical psychologist and mama wellness consultant. Each week we dive into tips and strategies and much more so that you too can become a balanced working mama. Let's dive in. Hey mamas, we are back. It's season 2 of the Balanced Working Mama podcast. If you cannot tell, I am very excited about this. I am so excited. Oh my goodness. I'm so glad to be back talking with you all, checking in with you every week. This is dope. Like, I am so excited. And so I hope that y'all are equally as excited. It's such a blessing, but also an honor to be back for another season of the Balanced Working Mama podcast. So hopefully we've got some new people listening. And if you are new listening for the first time, hello. If you are not listening for the first time and you've been here, hey girl, welcome back. So let me tell you what season 2 is going to be like. We are going to switch some things up just a tad for season 2, but I think it's going to be good because with everything, as we change, as we grow, we evolve, and the same is the case for the Balanced Working Mama podcast. So if you remember with season 1, what we did was we went through all of the core values for Balanced Working Mama, and it is in a lovely little acronym that spells out balanced. If you have missed any of those episodes, you should definitely go back because they really lay the foundation for the work that we do at Balanced Working Mama, but then all the other stuff that we're going to talk about in this season. So definitely check out season 1, binge it if you need to, but you don't want to miss those. Season 1 was mostly me talking. It was mostly me talking about all of those core values, offering some insights, some strategies, some of my own personal experiences. But I wanted to switch it up a little bit for season 2. So season 2 will have more special guests. It'll be about half and half. There's about 5 episodes with just me. But then there will be about 5 episodes with some other mamas. Some of these mamas have participated in the Empower Wellness program with me. And then others are just a part of the Balanced Working Mama community and have some things to share. And then the very last episode, episode 10, well, it'll actually be episode 20, but in season 2. We will talk with some of the mamas who are in the current Empower Wellness program, and they'll let us know how that was for us, how that was for them, and how they've grown. So season 2 is about to be bomb. We're about to be talking about perfectionism. We're going to talk about bonus motherhood. We're going to talk about what entrepreneurship looks like as a mother. We're going to talk about surviving the pandemic as a working mother, journeys and steps to becoming a mother for those of my pre-mamas out there. We're going to talk about investing in yourself. We're also going to spend a little bit of time talking about pregnancy loss and infant loss because October is the month where we really acknowledge that happens to many women, myself included. And so we're going to make some space for that as well in this season. So we've got a lot of really good things coming. And I am so excited. So before we jump into today's episode, I want to let y'all know we had a giveaway going on. So I don't know if y'all entered to win in the giveaway. But what I just did was I randomly selected the winner. There's actually this cool little thing called the Wheel of Names. It's wheelofnames.com. And so you can put in all of the names that you have. And so I put in the names, but then also how many times that people entered to win this giveaway. And then you click spin and it selects your winner. So I have my winner. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to read her review of the podcast because again, in order to enter to win for the giveaway, you had to leave a review and a rating on the podcast at Apple Podcasts. Then you had to tag a few mamas in the post on Instagram. So I'm going to read this review from this winner. And she says, the title of the review is For All the Mamas, Young and Old. This podcast is everything you need to get through those challenges as a young mother and as a vet in motherhood. I have picked up so many gems from listening. Things I thought weren't possible as a single working mother, I can now see myself conquering and accomplishing. Please keep this going, Dr. Thornton. So, our winner is Dan Dan. So, hey, Dan Dan, make sure you reach out to me, whether it's email or on Instagram, so that we can make sure that you get your prize. Connect with me. But I want to thank you, and you are the winner of our giveaway. And so, Dan Dan is going to win a body butter sampler kit from one of my favorite shops, Spiritual. So I know she's going to enjoy that. Also, thank you to everyone else who has left a rating and review. It really helps the podcast. It helps people to know, like, hey, this is not just some random podcast. It's actually decent because people rate it and review it. And so I appreciate y'all so much. If you do listen and you have not left a review or a rating, please do so because it really helps me to know that you all enjoy this, but it also helps other people to find the podcast. So that is our winner for the giveaway. Dan, again, reach out to me via Instagram or email, connect with me so that we can make sure that you get your prize. And let's go ahead and dive into today's episode. Hey mama, I want to quickly tell you about the Empower Wellness Program. This is a dynamic 6-week group for working mothers who are tired of feeling overwhelmed, fatigued, burdened by mom guilt, but then also just not having enough time for themselves. This program takes all of that and transforms it into more wellness, more time for yourself, better priorities, community with other mothers, but then overall balance in your work, motherhood, and wellness. To learn more about the Empower Wellness Program, head over to balanceworkingmama.com. There you can find when the next program begins, what to expect, but then also how to sign up. Hope to see you in the next group. Y'all, we are back. Hey! I don't know what that little noise was. My son actually makes that noise a lot when, you'll say hi to him and he's like, hey! Either way, I think it really just demonstrates my excitement to be back. And so for this very first episode of season 2, we're going to kind of do a little bit of a review. It's somewhat of a review, but more so, I really want to talk about how balance in motherhood is possible. And you all already know that I believe that to be true. Otherwise, I wouldn't have created Balance Working Mama. I wouldn't be talking about this stuff all the time. I absolutely believe that it is possible for us to achieve balance in motherhood and to feel and experience joy and happiness and good health and wellness and follow your dreams and your passions and be a good mom. You can do all of that. But we are really shifting and changing the ways that we think about balance. And so I'm bringing this up today, and I wanted this to be the very first episode of season 2 because lately I have heard some mamas feeling very discouraged about the idea of balance. And it makes sense because, as y'all know, 2020 has been absolutely ridiculous. In March, many of us were completely caught off guard when COVID came and completely turned our homes around, our routines around, our work around. Like, things have really been absolutely nuts for months. And even outside of that, though, for many of us, our motherhood experiences are very daunting, very overwhelming, can be very draining. And so if you are in that place and someone comes to you and says, oh, you need to balance better, I get how it can feel really off-putting. And I get how someone might feel a little bit defensive. And, but I wanted to clear this up because I do think balance in motherhood is possible. And it has concerned me that I've been hearing from so many people that balance in motherhood is not possible, especially right now. And so we're going to clear that up today. And I'm here to say that it is not true that balance is not possible. Again, this belief about balance not being possible for working mothers comes from a place of us being really misinformed about what balance actually is or what it should be. But we are also more likely to believe that balance is not possible when we are already in a place of feeling frustrated, overwhelmed, or hopeless about how things are going and moving and shifting in our lives, particularly in our motherhood journeys. And so I want to talk a little bit about what we've already been taught about balance because, for this episode, I clearly want to tell you what I think balance is. But first, I feel like it's really necessary for us to take a step back and reflect on, well, where did we learn what balance is or what balance should be? Where did we learn all of that? And we need to know that because we can't really unlearn something if we don't know what we're unlearning, or we can't undo something if we don't know where it came from in the first place. And so for me, when I think of balance initially, before Balance Working Mama, what I would think about was, my mother and my grandmother literally making a way out of no way. Like, y'all know how many of our grandmothers, well, I'll speak for me. My grandmother, both of my grandmothers, I come from a large family. Both of my grandmothers had 9, 10 children, and they both were able to, in seconds, whip up a meal to feed 20 plus people. And now, me thinking about that, it's hard for me to come up with meal ideas for my one child. And so, I think that's partly of where I initially thought about like what it means to be balanced in motherhood, or what it means to be a good mother is literally being able to make a way out of no way. And I don't think I'm alone in that. Many of us had mothers and grandmothers and aunties and, women in our lives who were just like magic in that way. Like they could just literally like anything you need, boom, I got it. Here, you need a meal? Here it is right now. Matter of fact, I already had one cooked up. It's in the fridge. Like they literally could just whip something up out of nothing. It was almost as if they were superhuman. And so when I reflect back on that, I'm so grateful to be able to have my mother and my grandmothers and other women in my life who were just so, I don't even know the words, like just so, like just everything for everybody. And I realized that we now, as millennial women, um, there are different pressures and different responsibilities that we now are facing in 2020 that maybe my mother didn't face in 1987, or maybe my grandmother didn't face in the 50s or 60s. Yes, they had different challenges. Like, thank God we don't have to go through Jim Crow. We're going through some other things, clearly, but they had different challenges and expectations and responsibilities, and now we do as well. And so, one issue with aspiring to be the way that our mothers and grandmothers were in their motherhood is that things have majorly and drastically changed. The way that my mother was taught to be a mother is so different from how now I am mothering. And that doesn't make her way bad. It doesn't make her choices bad. It means that we both became mothers in a very different time. There have been so many things that I've been able to learn from my mother and from my grandmothers about what it means to be a mother. And then there have been some moments where I've had to branch off from that to do things differently to fit the time that I am in now. So things have drastically changed. And I want us to shift a little bit because if you find yourself looking at the examples that you've had and really aspiring to be like those examples, that might be okay, but then you might realize like this is not a good fit. It doesn't work as well for me. And if it doesn't, that's okay because times have changed. Our pressures are so different. There's social media, there's abundance of technology. I say this so many times. Many of us are the breadwinners in our home. Many of us are starting businesses. Many of us are navigating and juggling so many different jobs because we're stuck with hella student loan debt. Like there's just so many things that are different now for us. And so that means our motherhood experiences and routines and practices have to look different. things have evolved. And so we can still reflect and honor and appreciate our mothers and our grandmothers, but we also have to hold that, hey, balance might look different for us. Another thing that I believe to be true, and I wish that my grandmothers were still here for me to ask them questions. Both of my grandmothers passed away when I was very young. My mother's mom died when I was 5, and my father's mom died when I was 10. And so I can't have conversations with them now, and I wasn't able to have those conversations then. Um, but I would love to ask them about their experiences in motherhood. And this is a conversation I probably should have with my mom a little bit more now that I'm a mom is, I truly believe that if we were to go back and ask our grandmothers, ask our mothers what their experiences were like, I believe that they would validate for us that not only have things changed and that motherhood for us looks very different than what motherhood looked like for them, but I think that they would say that they wish that they had some sort of help or different types of support or different opportunities to even ask these questions, to check in with themselves, to think about what their desires are and what their passions are, because many of them did not have those opportunities because that was not the expectation for them at that time. The expectation was, you're a mom now, you are a woman in this home, you got to get these things done. And guess what? You got to have a job too because you're a Black woman or you're a woman of color. And so there wasn't a lot of space and opportunity to reflect like we have now. There wasn't a lot of opportunity to just, boldly chase your dreams and your passions. That wasn't something that my mother and my grandmothers were able to firmly take up space for. And so I feel that we are fortunate that we can do that, but it complicates things because again, society's expectations haven't shifted all the way, but just enough for us to be able to have these liberties to do these things that maybe our mothers and grandmothers weren't able to. But I believe that our mothers and our grandmothers are so happy that now we can do it, and they would have liked that too. So it's almost as if it's a disservice to them, and it doesn't honor them for us to not pursue health, not pursue wellness, not pursue balance in the way that we could, not pursue our passions, because we now have opportunities to do these things, with the help of our motherhood communities, with the help of Balanced Working Mama, with all that. We need to do it, one, because we can, and it's owed to us, but it was something that they needed to. And so it's almost like we're giving back to them. Another thing that I believe we've been taught about balance is that it means that you should be able to juggle any and all things. And the thing about it is that, this is not the expectation for men. The expectation for men is very different. And I know that they have their own challenges, especially when it comes to fatherhood and manhood. But in general, society doesn't expect them to be and do all things for everybody. That is an expectation that we have for women and for mothers. And I want us to undo that, because the reality of the situation is that's a really big and unrealistic expectation for you to be able to show up and be everything to everybody at all times. That's a lot. And so you can try to do that, but I assure you that it's going to leave you burnt out, disappointed, sick, tired, and really just living a life that is unfulfilling for you. And we don't want that. We don't want it for you, but also we don't want it because your children are watching, and we want them to see us happy and see us fulfilled and see us healthy. They need us. So let's just get to it. Let's recap of what balance in motherhood really means, because essentially this is what Balanced Working Mama is all about. Balance in motherhood is not being able to juggle all the things, to manage all the things, to make a way out of no way, to show up for everybody and everything except for yourself. That's not balance. Balance in motherhood doesn't mean that you show up in all the aspects of your life in equal percentages. That's not balance. Balance is something different. And so, if you listen to season 1 of the podcast, this might sound familiar to you, but I want to give you a refresher because I want us to start the fall out, but also to finish 2020 in this mood, right? Like, I want us to really finish out this year knowing that, hey, I can achieve balance, and I'm redefining what balance in motherhood means and looks like for me, and this is what it is. So, we're going to recap. As you all know, balanced working mama is not just a cute saying. There's also a nice little acronym built right into it to help remind you what balance really means. And so let's start from the top. B. B is for bold and firm boundaries. Get them, have them, be clear about them, enforce them. You need bold and firm boundaries. You absolutely need them. You need to set them with your family. You need to set them with your work. You need to set them with your children. You need bold and firm boundaries in all aspects of your life. A. A is for always prioritize your wellness. Your wellness should always come first. If you are not well, whether it's mentally, physically, spiritually, socially, you can't show up for other people. But more importantly, you are human and you deserve to feel good and to be well. Always prioritize your wellness. L. L is for live fully in all of your identities. You are not just a mom. There are so many other things about you that matter and are important. So, for instance, for me, I am a psychologist, I am a mama wellness coach and consultant, I am an avid workout person, I am an early riser, I am all these other things that are important to me. And so I want to show up in all of these identities and all these parts of me because the whole totality of me is what makes me who I am. A. A is for assertiveness in seeking help and communicating your needs. If you cannot speak up about what you need and do so that it's clearly able to be heard by other people, you won't get the help that you need. You will not. And so we need to be assertive in our ability to seek help and communicate our needs. N. N is for never be afraid of change. This is so important because in motherhood, things change constantly. But also, this is just a fact of life. Things will always be changing, and we cannot be afraid of those changes. We have to be able to pivot. We cannot be afraid of going back on certain decisions or changing our mind about certain things or shifting on to the next thing. You cannot be afraid of change because change is inevitable, especially in motherhood. C. C is for community in motherhood. We need it. Get one, get two, get three, get several communities because motherhood is one of those journeys that you cannot go on alone. Find a community, whether it's Balanced Working Mama or another community you feel connected with. Find other mamas who can support you, who can validate your experiences, who can answer all the crazy questions you have about your children or what it means to be a mother. Get a community and motherhood that you feel good about. E. E is for effective management of guilt and anxiety. Guilt and anxiety will come, especially in motherhood, particularly after you first become a mother. There are postpartum anxieties and postpartum depression and guilt, just endless guilt. But we have to be able to effectively manage that. And if we don't, it will absolutely interfere with our ability to show up in motherhood. So, effectively manage your guilt and anxiety. And then lastly, D. D is for delegate and collaborate. We cannot do it all, mama. And so that means you have to delegate and collaborate with the other people around you. Figure out what you can do and the things that you cannot do or that you simply just don't want to do, give it to somebody else. Ask your partner to do it. Ask a friend. Ask a family member. If your children are older, train them to start doing some of the things around the house. Hire help. There's so many ways that we can delegate and collaborate, but honestly, it's so necessary. So I hope that was a good recap for you. Balance in motherhood means those 8 things. That is how we achieve the balance in motherhood that we so need and so desperately deserve. Again, It has nothing to do with juggling everything all the time. It has nothing to do with showing up in all aspects of everybody's life. It has nothing to do with meet the needs of everybody else. It's all these other things. So if you felt like one of those things you need a little bit of extra help with, definitely go back to season 1, because season 1 has an episode for every single core value. So check it out if you haven't already, but I am so excited for you all to stay tuned for season 2. We've got a lot of really dope things in store. We've got a few podcast guests this season, and there are a ton of things that I'm going to be talking about this season and diving in a little bit deeper with. So either way, though, we're starting the season off right. Balance in motherhood is absolutely possible. And I know that you all and myself, we're all going to work together to ensure that we can achieve this balance. Hey, Mama, I'm so glad you're listening to the podcast, but I also want to connect with you on social media. So be sure to follow me and Balance Working Mama on Instagram. You can find me at Dr. Amber Thornton. That's DrAmberThornton, and Balance Working Mama at Balance Working Mama. BALANCEDWORKINGMAMA. Follow along, join in on the fun, but then also send me a DM to say hello. See you there. Okay, Mama. So I am doing something a little bit different for season 2. In season 1, we had Balance Working Mama Empowerment to close out our episodes. For season 2, I'm going to take it up a little bit, and challenge you all a little bit with some Balance Working Mama homework each week. So I want you to think about the next 3 months. We are wrapping up 2020. We've got October, November, and December, and then this year will be over. And so you might be thinking, thank God, I'm so done with 2020, because trust, it has been a hell of a year. But I really want you to take a look at the next 3 months and ask yourself, how do I want the next 3 months to look and feel? 2020 is almost over. However, there is still time for you to shift and to make some changes so that your experience in motherhood can look and feel different, for it to be more of what you actually want it to be. So I also want you to ask yourself, what changes do you need to make so that you can achieve more and better balance for the rest of this year? I am challenging you to identify what that is and to start today, whether it is really working on firming up your boundaries, whether it is asking for more help, whether it is showing up in other facets of your life that feel important to you, whether it is delegating more, whatever it is, pick one of those core values to really focus on and work on for the rest of this year, because we still have time to make some changes and make some shifts so that 2020 can end a little bit differently for you. So that is your homework for this week, mamas. Let me know if you need some help with it. Y'all know I'm here to help. Hit me up on Instagram, DM me, shoot me an email, whatever it is. I want to know, but just know that I'm rooting for you and I know that y'all can do this. Hey, Mama. Thank you for listening to the Balance Working Mama podcast. If you love this podcast, please be sure to rate it and share it with another mama that you know. And don't forget to follow me and Balance Working Mama on Instagram. I'll talk to you soon.